The red dust mile marker. The first thing you learn about the Australian outback is that the horizon lies. It looks close. It looks reachable. It promises you a straight line to your destination. But the distance doesn't shrink the way you expect. The world stays wide and empty and stubborn, like it doesn't care whether you arrive. I was driving alone toward a remote roadhouse, the last stop before my planned detour to see the red desert under the stars. My car was packed with water, snacks, and the kind of nervous optimism you get when you tell yourself you're having an adventure. The sun had dropped fast. The heat didn't. The road was a long black ribbon and the sky was a deepening purple, heavy with quiet. My phone had no signal. The radio worked, though sort of. It kept finding the same faint station, a low voice reading numbers like an old test broadcast. 6, 2, 9, 2, 0, stop. Between the numbers, there was a sound that didn't fit. A soft tapping, like fingernails on glass. I told myself it was interference. Then I passed a mile marker on the roadside, mile 83. A minute later, another, mile 83 again. I frowned. The car's GPS map was blank. No signal, no data. Just a blue dot floating in nothing. The radio voice continued, calm as a lullaby. 6, 2, 9, 2, 0, stop. The tapping got clearer. Tap, tap, tap. I rolled the window down to clear my head. Hot air rushed in, carrying the smell of dust and dry grass. The stars were starting to appear. The outback looked peaceful in the way a desert can look peaceful, like it's pretending to be safe. My headlights caught movement near the roadside, a shape that darted back into the scrub. A kangaroo, I thought. Maybe a dingo. I drove on. 10 minutes later, I passed mile 83 again. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. That wasn't possible. I slowed down, scanning the roadside. The mile marker was identical, same chipped paint, same slight bend at the top, same shadow leaning across the number as if the sign itself was tired. Behind it, half hidden in the scrub, was a small wooden post with faded white paint. Not a road sign, something older, a boundary marker, maybe, or a warning. The radio voice stopped. Silence filled the car so completely I could hear my own blood moving. Then, very softly, the numbers began again, except this time, the voice wasn't the same. It was mine. 6, 2, 9? I turned the radio off so fast my fingers slipped. The screen went dark. The tapping continued anyway. Tap, tap, tap. Not from the speakers. From behind me. I glanced in the rearview mirror. The backseat was empty. My bags were piled neatly. My jacket lay where I'd thrown it. The darkness beyond the rear window was thick and starless, swallowed by the car's own shadow. Then something moved, not inside the car, outside. A pair of headlights appeared behind me, far back, too far to be a tailgater, too steady to be a truck. Just two white points floating in the darkness, matching my speed. I felt relieved for half a second. Another driver, a real person, but the distance between us didn't change. No matter how I adjusted my speed, those headlights stayed exactly the same, like they weren't following the road, but following me. I pushed the car faster. The headlights pushed too. I slowed down. They slowed too. Perfectly. A memory surfaced, something a coworker had said when I told him I was doing this trip. If you see lights behind you out there, he joked, don't stop. Sometimes the road wants company. At the time I'd laughed. Now my mouth tasted like metal. The next roadhouse should have appeared within 20 minutes. A cluster of lights, a sign, something. Instead, I passed mile 83 again. My stomach dropped. I pulled over. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to prove the world was real. Maybe I needed to feel something solid under my feet. I stopped on the shoulder. The car idled. The Outback swallowed the sound. The headlights behind me stopped too, still at the exact same distance. They didn't come closer. They didn't pass. They just waited. The tapping stopped. I stepped out into the heat. The air felt thick and dry and wrong. The sky was full of stars, too many, like the universe had leaned closer to watch. I walked toward the mile marker. Up close, I could see something scratched into the metal pole under the number. Not graffiti, not random marks. Words. I bent closer and read, barely visible under dust. Don't turn around. A cold shiver ran down my spine, completely out of place in that heat. Behind me, the car's interior light flicked on by itself, glowing warm and inviting through the windows. Like someone had opened a door. The tapping began again. Tap, tap, tap. This time it was coming from the passenger seat window. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Slowly, so slowly, I turned my head just enough to look at the passenger window without fully turning around. The glass reflected my face, pale and tense. And behind me in the reflection, seated calmly in the passenger seat, was a figure made of darkness and red dust. It wore my jacket. Its head was turned toward me as if it had been watching me the whole drive. It smiled. Tap, tap, tap. The tapping wasn't nails. It was a knuckle, like someone politely asking to be let out. I sprinted back to the driver's door and threw myself inside. I didn't look at the passenger seat. I didn't look at the rearview mirror. I just started the car and drove. The headlights behind me followed. The mile marker disappeared. Then, after a few minutes that felt like an hour, the Outback finally offered me something real. A glow on the horizon. A roadhouse. Actual lights. Actual shapes. A sign. I nearly cried with relief. I pulled into the lot. A couple of trucks were parked. A dog lay on the warm concrete. The world suddenly smelled like fuel and fried food instead of dust. Inside, a tired woman behind the counter looked up. "You're late," she said. I got turned around, I muttered. She didn't smile. People do. I bought a bottle of water and forced my hands to stop shaking. Is there something wrong with the mile markers out there? Her eyes flicked toward the window. Which mile marker? 83. Her face tightened. That's not a mile marker. That's where the road repeats. I stared at her. What? She leaned closer, lowering her voice. Out there, if you're tired enough, the road offers you a shortcut. It shows you the same bit again and again until you stop and let something else take the passenger seat. I swallowed. How do you stop it? Her gaze moved behind me. Don't give it your attention, she said quietly. And don't drive alone. I turned around to see what she was looking at. In the glass door, reflecting the roadhouse lights, I saw my car outside. And sitting in the passenger seat, perfectly still, wearing my jacket, was a shape made of darkness and red dust. It raised a hand, and tapped the window once.